Hey guys, what's up? Alright, it's Double Deuce back. Today we're in the new man cave, the new studio I come up with. So most of my videos, hopefully, will all be done down here for my builds or review videos. And for the bashing ones, I'll be going back out now that it's nice weather out. So give you a little look around real quick. And got a little work table down here. And I started putting up some of my box art, getting my bruises out of the boxes. And we got some old school kits and stuff here and there, and some new stuff. So, anyhow, today's video is going to be on the HGP 407. I'm going to zoom in on it here. Today we're doing a brushless setup. And I call this the Twister, or the Tasmanian Devil. I found a 9-turn, 2 to 3 cell LiPo brushless system online, and it was relatively cheap. So I think they were about upper 20s. You know, I think I paid $60 for the pair, and then as you can see, thanks to the Scale Trail guy, that's his username on eBay. He hooked me up with some extra rear ends and some drive shafts because I thought I was going to break something with this thing. So I got a little ahead of it, but I was really amazed on how it didn't break nothing yet. So if you're ever on eBay, check out the Scale Trail guy. He's got some wicked cool stuff on there. A lot of crawler things. He's into some trains and stuff like that. It depends on what your hobby is. So anywho, back to this. I'm going to try to move the camera up here to give you guys a super close-up on what's going on, so I can get a little into detail and show you some of the shortcomings and some of the great things. And here we go. And we're back again. Okay. The first thing I wanted to talk about was anybody who has one of these things. If you notice, the body sounds like the lid of a garbage can when you're out bashing with it. There's some things you can do for that. One thing I found out was, move the body off the frame here, was in the back, over here. I don't know if anybody else had the problem, but the whole, at least the plastics they made or molded the stuff with was, you know, the holes are just way too big. So for a 3mm, and they're sloppy. So what I did is I took just some regular hardware 4mm screws, and I put it down. And I just screwed the thing down, and I can reach underneath to get to my battery leads. And when you tighten it down on this, it really tightens it back up nice and tight and keeps it quiet, and it sounds a lot more solid. And then in the front, you can see this here's bent because I flipped it. I just put a rubber O-ring on here. And when you do that, it depends on how many you put on there, 1 or 2. You can kind of push it down, and it'll hold it real tight up front too. On some of my other bruisers, you know, these here, this bolts in. I just took it out and just put a screw through it, and then I just ran, it was a 3mm nut stuck inside of a piece of rubber tubing, and I just cut it off, so it's kind of like a finger nut, you know. So anyway, today was the brushless setup. Okay, as you can see, this is a 4370 kV 9-turn. Okay, I was really surprised that it you know, on a 3-cell, this thing's insane. The only problem I had was, like, you know, when they give you these things, they don't give enough wiring for this stuff, and you know, so I kind of wanted to put this stuff kind of at the back, you know, that way it ain't up front and center, you know, in the line of fire. This is, I believe, a splash proof one, but it's got a fan on it. Here's another one that I got because I bought two of them because they were relatively cheap. But it comes with a, you know, its own program card, so you can set your LiPo cutoff, your start mode, you know, your brake force, and your max reverse force, and your neutral range. So has some features. Get this over here. This is the spec sheet on it they give you with it. As you can see, this one is a 60 amp. Continuous current and burst is 320 amps. And, you know, 9-turn, 2 to 3 cell LiPo, and 4 to 9 cell nickel metal hydrate. And the cool thing is this has 5.8 volts for the battery eliminator cutoff output for your servos, which is kind of nice because you definitely need that. And anywho, the dimensions are pretty much the same on these here, but they give you full instructions on, you know, what to do, what not to do. It's got like block motor protection, so you can't run too big of a pinion on there, especially in third gear. And it's got throttle loss signal protection, and like I say, LiPo cutoff, and it's got the overheat protection too. So, you know, this is kind of nice. But so anyway, when I put it together, I didn't realize how insane this would be. I've seen some 9-turn, you know, brushless systems added to these things. I didn't know if this was going to take it or not. The scale trail guy, he hooked me up with a tranny too, and because I bought that first because I figured I would be wasting this one. But the slipper clutch I put in here, the Tamiya slipper clutch conversion I did, if you see my other videos, it's working really well, and I'm glad I got it in there. If you see, I'm running these old Proline Road Dog. These are from the 80s, okay? And these are on my old Bruiser rims. And the reason I run these tires is because they're flat. And if you're familiar with the other Bruiser tires over here, if you look, they're kind of rounded. So when you put this thing through a corner, you know, it has a tendency to roll over, even though it has the wide axle on the back and all that stuff. So the flatter the tire you have, the better off you are with a high performance power plant in it. So, but, you know, just to give you a comparison of why I call it the Twister or the Tasmanian Devil, I'm gonna show you a short clip here. Good enough, yeah. Stop. So that was kind of insane. I was playing around at work with it, and I brought it inside, and I got a good laugh out of everybody. I took it out in the kind of a flat dirt parking lot, and it handled rather well. I was really amazed. I thought I was going to flip over or something, but I only rolled it once, and that's because I just whacked a pothole with it. But I mean, it does the 360s out on the you know, on the dirt too. It's pretty wild. And you know, your 3 cells 11.1 volt. that's kind of super insane. But I like doing that. I like taking something that somebody designs, and I like pushing it right to the limit to either, I'm replacing these or this, tranny or, something, just to see what its limitations are. And to me, that's always been the fun of the hobby, just because you can get some jaw-dropping action going on when people see that they come up and they say, "Oh, it's a cute little toy," and then it turns out to be this violent monster, and they got a lot more respect for it. So, but in the last video that I showed you there of the Tasmanian Devil Twister, the first one was on 3-cell 11.1 volt LiPo. The second one, you see it's a little slower. That was on 7.4 volt, so that was on the factory LiPo that came with the truck, and it's more controllable, and it's a lot more fun, but it does zip it up pretty good. So I think that's my segment for today. I've been building a monster I built back in the 80s. I was a big Clodbuster fan, as you can see from the box art and the Clodbuster here. I got like 3 of these things for them. And so to give you a sneak peek of what I'm working on next, it's that right there. That was actually a bruiser. I had turned this into a nitro, and this is the one I wasted the transmission and the rear ends all at one time. And the nitro motor was just a little too huge for it. And it was fun while it lasted. So I basically, back then we didn't have all this exotic aluminum Clodbuster stuff. But just recently I seen that, I got a deal on some aluminum housings and the axle tubes and all that stuff. So I upgraded my, I call it, my Clod Bruiser, whatever you want to call it, from the 80s. I converted that, into a Clodbuster, and it's pretty wild, 4-wheel steering, and it's got the dual 540s on it. I was going to try to take the old speed controller out of this and just, the brush one, and run an extra wire on there so I could run both motors on that. And I'm still playing with it, but I think it's like for, $29 or something. You can get one that's, it's got a fan on it and all that stuff. So I don't want to strain, even though these are a dime a dozen. They're cheap online, for a speed controller. You can get them for like anywhere between 14 to, $20. So I've seen them all over the place. So we'll go on with this next, and I'll give you a sneak preview of what that is. And when I get it wired up, we'll do some running videos on a lot of this stuff. So anywho, like I say, I hope you like the new humble abode here. This is going to be the new home from now on. Any questions, comments, or anything, hit me up. I want to get a bruiser wall of shame going on over here because, I collect those things. And I just picked up another chassis and transmission, and I picked up the Blazin' Blazer Hilux transmission. Actually, I thought I was going to only get one. I put a couple of bids out there and ended up getting both of them. And there's some interesting things about that I learned from your Bruiser transmission and your Mountaineer transmission. The differences between the Blazin' Blazer and the Hilux, even though they look exactly the same, there's a lot of differences there, and I'm going to do a video on that to show you, and kind of like the internals, and because I bought gears to rebuild them. And so anywho, hope you like it. Any questions, comments, feel free to hit me up. And this is Denny signing off. Adios.